Once upon a time, there was an AP statistics student named Lin. She was always on her phone. She had an average daily screen time of 8 hours and 9 minutes last week. Another student, Stanley, is accusing Lin of having a bad grade in AP statistics.
You're a slop.
Lin in return says,
"There's no association between a student's screen time and AP stat grade. There's a negative linear association between the screen time and AP stat grade. You're just an outlier. How do you even have a 98? All you do is 6-7 every day."
Lin then angrily formed a research team to investigate the matter. To conduct this study, Lin, Stanley, Enoch, and Isaac randomly sampled 30 AP statistics students at Central High School. Out of the 30 randomly sampled students, 25 responded, with one response being invalid due to the lack of access to screen time data. Meanwhile, Mr. Zach had some thoughts to share.
Probably playing video games, chatting on social media, probably just flipping through TikTok like 95% of the time. Depends on the class. I mean, you're talking about my class in particular. In our room, I think the definition of paying attention has to be clarified, but how many people are completely locked in at any given moment? I'm going to guess 2/3, 67%. Yes, and it's vast majority in our particular class. I'd have to look at the data. I can think of maybe 2 or 3 students who are frequent offenders, but otherwise everyone does it. So that as you watch more on your screen, your grade goes down. I would have to guess to some extent, but I don't think it's that strong. Some of the people that spend more time on their screens, it's because they also are super good at math and they just don't have to pay attention as much to do well. So I think that might mess up some of the correlation.
Next, we will be going over the mathematical parts of the study.
We perform a t-test for beta. Beta is the slope of the least square regression line for predicting final AP stat grade from the mean phone screen time in the past week for all AP stat students at Central High School. Now we have our null and alternative hypothesis. Our null hypothesis is that there is no association, and our alternative hypothesis is that there is a negative association. Now we move on to our conditions. In our AP Stat class, we learned the acronym LINER. LINER stands for linear form, independence, normal residuals, equal standard deviations, and randomness. The graph on the right is a scatter plot of our collected data. Our first condition is that our data must have a linear form. As we can see from the residual plot, the residuals are randomly distributed, which indicates that our data is linear. The next condition is independence. We do not satisfy the 10% condition because there are not more than 24 times 10 AP Stat students. But we can still satisfy this condition because responses between two people are independent of each other. We graph the residuals/explanatory values on a box plot, and there is no significant skewness or outliers. There is one outlier of 840 minutes, however. If we look at the residual plot, the standard deviation of the residuals should be roughly constant across all levels of x, which we can see. Our plot shows a horizontal band of roughly equal spread. Lastly, our samples were randomly picked. We used a random number generator to pick 30 numbers with no repetition. We wanted 30 random samples but only got 24 responses, so our n is 24. For a t-test for the slope, the degrees of freedom is n-2, which is 22. We used Desmos to calculate the t-value and got negative 1.925. Finally, using a one-tailed t-distribution with 22 degrees of freedom, we got a p-value of 0.0336.
Since our p-value of 0.036 is less than our level of significance of 0.05, we reject the null hypothesis and conclude that we have significant evidence that there is a negative association between the final AP Stat grade and the mean daily phone screen time for all current AP Stat students at Central High School. For possible errors, we had a high leverage point with a screen time of 840 minutes. However, removing that point does not majorly impact our conclusion, so it's fine to work with it. There was also only one outlier for the least square regression line by the 2 standard deviation rule, with a residual of negative 10.32. We also had some non-response bias with 5 people not responding. This could have affected our results either way because people with high screen time or low final stat grades could have not participated. 6th period students also likely have outside help on their tests/quizzes, which could result in higher grades. The least square regression line is y equals 93.88 minus 0.013x, where y is the final AP stat grade and x is the daily screen time. This means that for every 100-minute increase in daily screen time, we predict the final AP stat grade to decrease by 1.3%, starting at 93.88%. We had an R value of negative 0.3797, which indicates that our association is weakly negative. If we did this project differently, we would analyze GPA versus screen time instead, since we could get a result that extrapolates to more students overall. The most important takeaway from this is to balance screen time and academics. Don't let screen time get in the way of doing homework and studying.